This conference.
All right, why don't we get started then? All right, so first item on agenda, introductions, and welcome to the May 15th MPO meeting for Montachusett. I will turn it over to Brian to read the roll, please.
Okay, so I'll just read the members that I see present right now, and if I miss you, please let me know so I can add it to the list for calling roll later on in the meeting. Stephen Wolfel, representing Mass DOT Secretary and CEO Monica Tibbetts-Nutt.
Here.
Ian Sullivan, representing Highway Division Administrator Jonathan Gulliver.
Here.
Mark Piamarini, Leominster.
Here.
George Kahali, Mart.
Present.
Brian Croto, Subregion 1.
Present.
Brian Doheny, Subregion 2.
Present.
Okay, we have 6 members, which is exactly the amount we need for a quorum.
All right, again, everyone, welcome. We'll move on to agenda item 2, which is public comments. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the MPO today? All right, seeing none, we'll now move on to agenda item 3, which are the meeting minutes of April 17, 2024. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the minutes, please?
So moved, Dan Sullivan.
Seconded, Brian Croto.
All right, are there any changes or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, Brian, you want to read the roll, please?
Stephen Wolfel, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ian Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Mark Piamarini, Leominster.
Yes.
George Kahali, Mart.
Yes.
Brian Croto, Subregion 1.
Yes.
Brian Doheny, Subregion 2.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay, that's 5 yeses and 1 abstention. We need 6 to pass the minutes, so. Looks like
All right, so you're gonna come back. I thought it was, oh, you had 6. All right, so I guess we hold off to the next month. Is that what we're gonna do, Brian?
Sure. Yep, I'll add it to the agenda for next month.
All right, let's move on to agenda item 4, which is the statewide long range transportation plan update. Chris, I think we don't have much, right? But you wanted to talk about the public comment period for a minute? I think Chris is muted. He looks like he unmuted himself, but Brian, he's.
Yeah, he's been having trouble with his microphone, I think.
All right, I'll just take it. So as folks probably have heard, we've extended the comment period for Beyond Mobility. It will now be the end of this month, May 31st. So please continue to take a look at it and share your comments with us. So that's all we had to have about that. Agenda item 5 is the statewide capital improvement program. I think, Brian, we talked about we're going to push this off till next month because there's been a shift in the overall schedule for the CIP. Instead of going to the board in May and then up to public comment and then coming back for its final June, presenting to the board, hopefully then voting out for public comment, and then taking up in July for final vote. Someone's got their background noise on, or
oh, is that me?
Oh, we can hear you now, Chris.
Sorry about that.
All right. All right. So that's the update on that. So now let's move to.
Can you give me a call back? Yeah, I'm just. Yeah.
All right. We're just going to choose to ignore that for now. So we're going to move on to agenda item 6, which is the Massachusetts Federal Fiscal Year 24 to 2028 TIP. And Brian, I believe you're going to handle this.
Yes, and just give me 1 minute. I'm in contact with our director right now, and they're trying to access the meeting, which would be helpful. So just let me give him quick directions.
Okay.
Brian, I also had trouble accessing the meeting this earlier. I don't know if it's an internal issue or what. Like there was no link. I had to go through the app,
Okay.
if that's helpful.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the issue is.
I'll message him on the side while you go.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. I'm getting messages sent to me and trying to, but
Thanks,
we do
Shane.
have at least a quorum for now, but if we have more members, we can come back and revisit the minutes to get that off the table, at least for this month. As for item number 6, this is in regards to tip amendment number 5. This was presented to the MPO last month. We sent it out for a 21-day public comment period. The comment period lasted from April 19th and closed this past Friday, May 10th. This is in relation to projects in federal fiscal year 2024 of the highway element of the current, not what is now current 2024 through 28 tip. Project number 608723, which is in Athol, intersection improvements at Crescent Street and Chestnut Hill Avenue. The reason for the amendment is a cost increase due to additional offsite hazmat disposal items. Cost increase was roughly $1.165 million, or approximately 14%. This was discussed last month and was discussed last week with the JTC. The MJTC made a recommendation to the MPO to endorse this at the meeting today, and ultimately that's what we're looking for, a motion to endorse tip amendment number 5 to the 24th to 28 tip.
All right. Can I get a motion a second, then I'll open up to questions?
So moved, Dan Sullivan?
Second, George Kahali.
All right, any questions for Brian on this amendment? All right, seeing none. Brian, you want to read the roll, please?
Stephen Wolfle, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ian Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Mark P. Marini, Leominster.
Yes.
Kahali, Mart.
Yes.
I do see Glenn on. Glenn, I don't know if you heard the presentation on amendment number 5, but I'll call your name in the roll. Feel free to abstain. We do have enough for a quorum beside you, but Glenn Eaton, MRPC. I do believe Glenn just signed
Here,
in. So I
here.
think he
Sorry,
needs to-
Brian, I'm here, sir.
Brian Croto, Subregion 1.
Yes.
Brian Doheny, Subregion 2.
Yes.
Okay, even if Glenn were to abstain, we do have enough to pass amendment number 5, so thank you.
Well, I think Glenn said here, but it would mean yes. So why don't we go back to agenda item 3, the meeting minutes of April 17th? Can I get a new motion and a second to approve them?
So moved. Second, Brian Croto.
All right, any changes or comments on the minutes? Seeing none. All right, Brian, trying to read, why don't we read the roll?
Stephen Wolfle, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ian Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Mark Marini, Leominster.
Yes.
Glenn Eaton, MRPC.
Yes, sir.
George Kahali, Mart.
Yes.
Brian Croto, Subregion 1.
Yes.
Brian Doheny, Subregion 2.
Abstain.
Okay, that passes. Thank you.
All right, so now we're on to agenda item 7, which is the federal fiscal year 25 to 2029 tip. Brian, take it away.
Okay, so also last month's meeting, we voted to release the draft 2025 to 29 tip for a 21-day public comment period. That comment period was the same as the last item on the agenda, the amendment. It began April 19th and it closed this past Friday, May 10th. So during the comment period, we received a number of comments. We also reviewed these comments to date with the JTC at their meeting last week. We'll mention that the JTC did make the consensus recommendation to the MPO for this group to endorse today. What I'll do is I'll go over the comments that were received during the comment period, If there's any questions, I can answer those. And what we're looking for is a motion to endorse this at today's meeting. So we received comments from 3 different sources. You can see this is just a brief summary of the comments and our responses here. We'll provide the full comment of each of these sources within the appendix, along with this summary sheet into the final version of the tip. So Mass DOT, Office of Transportation Planning, they provide us with a lot of good guidance going into these documents. That's very helpful. It keeps us on track to complete all the federal requirements, so on and so forth. They also provide comments every year. This year, relatively simple comments we've received from OTP. I'll briefly go over these. I won't read these word for word, but I'll give a general summary. First from them, basically they suggest adding some links to the document for reference purposes, and you can see our response on the right column here. Links added in a number of different areas. Another comment from Mass DOT OTP was to basically update language related to a section that references the federal legislation. So we've updated that in that particular section. They mentioned in their next comment, they reference some tables and some narrative related to those tables, and suggest that we clarify the way we set those up. So we made those edits to improve clarity in those. They go on to mention updating of MPO member lists, so they match what we have in the UPWP, what is current on our website and the tip. So we've made those changes. They go on to suggest a brief description of the MPO organization be included in the tip. We include this in the UPWP, so we're including that in the tip as well, based on this comment. They ask us also to make additional references to funding programs. We reference the programs that we actually use in our region in the draft tip. We'll go on and add additional funding programs and descriptions as well in the final version. They want to make sure that we have the most updated highway and transit project lists. I believe the costs were just locked in at the beginning of the month or so. So there have been some changes, nothing that affects fiscal constraint in our region or our target projects or even project placement. So some minor changes have been made since we met in April. We plan to make those changes within the final document. And finally, from Office of Transportation Planning, they are suggesting we include the MBTA projects in an appendix. So we'll do that as well. We also received comments from in the form of a letter from the town of Air. Basically, this was a support letter related to project 609227, which is the one downtown. We had a presentation on this project a few months ago on Main Street, Route 2A and 111. The letter supports this project and emphasizes their commitment to the design process and moving it through. Currently, this project's listed in 2029. It's the highest scoring project in the region as of right now. They suggest and want to put out the feeler basically right now to possibly move this project forward in the future. So we'll revisit this list next year when we go over the tip again, and everything will be into consideration. So that support is noted, and we certainly appreciate them staying on top of the design process and moving the project forward. Similarly, we received a letter from the town of Harvard regarding project 609213, Harvard Air Road reconstruction. This project was a lot of the basis of our discussion over the last few months. Originally, the Air Road project was listed in federal fiscal years 26 and 27. It was advanced constructed over 2 construction seasons. Decision was made earlier in this process, in this update, to move this project up 1 year to 25/26. Reason being was we felt it was more ready than other projects on the list, and it gave us the best chance of having a project go for bid in 2025 in the region. So that's why that decision was made. In Harvard's letter to us, they expressed concern with project readiness for 2025. So even though it was more ready for 2025 than other projects that we previously had in there, it's still not a home run. And we've been aware of that. I believe I made a mention of this project last month at the MPO. We've been discussing it with the JTC as well. They want us to be aware basically of still, there's a possibility it won't be ready for federal fiscal year 2025. Our response here, project status acknowledged. We certainly agree with the town of Harvard. Their preference is, if need be, if this project needs to move back, it move back no further than 1 year. So basically no further than when it was previously placed into 2026. We as MPO staff would agree with that assessment right now. Again, this is something that when we revisit this list next year, in the ideal world, this project will be out to bid already and off the table and be ready for construction. But in the case it's not, this is something that we'll take into consideration. Another high TEC evaluation score again. So all these things will be considered when building this list next year. These letters from the communities of Air and Harvard will be included in its entirety in the tip appendix, and they're also available in the handouts as well. So these are the comments received during the comment period. I can answer any questions if there are any. Otherwise, we're looking for a motion to endorse the 2025 through 29 tip.
All right, can I get a motion and a second to adopt the full 25 to 2029 tip?
So moved. Dan Sullivan?
George Kahale, second.
All right, any questions for Brian? All right, seeing none, can you read the roll, Brian?
Stephen Wolfle, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ian Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Mark Pamarini, Leominster.
Yes.
Glenn Eaton, MRPC.
Laura Schifrin.
Glenn Eaton. Oh, okay, Laura. Laura Schifrin, MRPC.
Yes.
George Kahale, Mart.
Yes.
Brian Croto, Subregion 1.
Yes.
And Brian Doheny, Subregion 2.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Brian. I have a question on, Brian, we also have to do endorsement of the 3C planning process, self-certification, correct?
Yep, so aside from just endorsing the document as a whole, we have 2 certifications to review. Staff has reviewed this. We are in compliance with these, but we do need to take a vote on 2 different certifications related to the 25 to 29 tip. So the first one is the certification of the Montachusett, excuse me, let me just scroll up to, the first one we have is certification of the Montachusett Region MPO 3C transportation planning process. Again, we've reviewed this. We are in compliance. I'll review the summary here, and what we're looking for is a motion to certify. So it states, concurrent with the submittal of the proposed tip to the Federal Highway Administration and Federal Transit Administration, the Montachusett Metropolitan Planning Organization certifies that its conduct of the Metropolitan Transportation Planning process complies with all applicable requirements, which are listed below, and that this process includes activities to support the development and implementation of the long-range transportation improvement program, air quality conformity determination, the transportation improvement program, air quality conformity determination, and the unified planning work program.
So just to underscore, Brian says this is the same language, kind of boilerplate that we do every year. But before I call a motion a second, I do want to recognize that Joshua Barber from Fed Highway and Kirsty Hoster from FTA have joined the meeting, just so we know our federal partners here. With that, can I get a motion a second to approve the self-certification for the 3C transportation planning process?
So moved. Dan Sullivan?
Is there a second?
Second, Glenn Eaton.
All right.
Sorry, I was just,
All
I
right.
was just,
So, Ann, what, Ann?
this is Laura Schifrin. I was just about to second. I'm sorry.
All right. So with that, any questions? Brian, read the roll, please.
Stephen Wolfle, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ian Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Mark Pamarini, Leominster,
Yes.
Laura Schifrin, MRPC,
Yes.
George Kahali, Mart,
Abstain.
Brian Croto, Subregion 1,
Yes.
Brian Doheny, Subregion 2.
Yes.
Okay, so that does pass with one abstention.
All right. Now we'll move on to the next self-certification, Brian.
Okay, so this is in relation to the Global Warming Solution Act requirements for the transportation sector in the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. So I'll read the summary, and again, we're looking for a motion to certify. This will certify that the federal fiscal year 2025 to 29 Transportation Improvement Program and Air Quality Conformity Determination for the 2024 to 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan for the Montachusett Metropolitan Planning Organization is in compliance with all applicable requirements in the state regulation 310 CMR 60.05 Global Warming Solutions requirements for the transportation sector in the Massachusetts Department of Transportation.
All right. With that, can I get a motion and a second to approve the self-certification for the global warming solution?
I make a motion to approve.
Second, Laura Schifrin.
All right, any questions? All right, Brian, please read the roll.
Stephen Wolfo, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ian Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Mark Pamarini, Leominster.
Yes.
Laura Schifrin, MRPC.
Yes.
George Kahali, Mart.
Yes.
Brian Croto, Subregion 1.
Yes.
And Brian Doheny, Subregion 2.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Brian, for all of that. We'll now move on to Agenda 8, which is our last voting item, which is the Montachusett Federal Fiscal Year 2025 Unified Plan Work Program. Sherry, take it away.
Thank you. So the UPWP was also out for public comment at the same time frame as the TIP, so it ended last Friday. We had received like two major, I mean, there's three listed, but it's basically two major comments. The first one is from Mass DOT, and we usually kind of break them down as they are given to us in specific categories. So the first one is under completeness, and this was basically asking for us to make reference to the planning emphasis areas that came from FTA and FHWA, specifically on page 23. So we had included information on that as well as a link to the site that they had provided. So that was included. And then the other one was under narrative, and they wanted to build on references to the regional transportation plan and explain how these particular tasks will work towards the goals and objectives of that report. So we had gone through and just made reference to whatever tasks directly linked to the RTP, as well as we provided, they did indicate that links to specific documents that were already in existence on our website and elsewhere should be linked as well. So we added a handful of links throughout the document where you can click to see the full report that was referenced throughout the UPWP. The third comment that just came in, I think it was on Friday, so it was like kind of towards the last minute, which we just added. I know the JTC had not seen this comment, but it was from Mart, and they were referencing our task 4.3, technical assistance to Mart, and they wanted us to include census data reports and mapping, as well as planning assistance for Mart's FTA areas of persistent poverty grant. So I'm assuming that had to be referenced for that grant specifically. So we had added some text within that task so that meets their requirements and their comment. So that was all we have for UPWP comments this year. It's pretty simple and short and sweet. So we're also looking for, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Sherry, go ahead. You can.
No, I think I was going to say exactly what you were going to say. So
All right.
go ahead.
Can I get a motion and a second to endorse the Federal Fiscal Year 2025 UPWP, including with the addition of the MART request as Sherry just detailed?
I make a move to endorse it as presented with the comment.
Is there a second?
Laura Schifrin, second.
All right, any questions for Jerry? All right, seeing none, Brian, you want to roll?
Stephen Wolfo, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ian Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Mark Piermarini, Leominster.
Yes.
Laura Schifrin, MRPC.
Yes.
George Kahali, Mart.
Yes.
Brian Croto, Subregion 1.
Yes.
And Brian Doheny, Subregion 2.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And Sherry, thank you for the UPW work this year. We will now move to agenda item 8, which are the updates. The first ones are from the highway districts. Why don't we go District 2 first? Anna, are you doing them or is Daryl here?
I'm not sure if Daryl's here. I don't see him.
I don't see him either.
So I actually, I usually just check out District 2 just in case, so I can do both.
All right, you want to go do both?
Sure.
Thanks, Ann.
So Leominster Route 12 is at 100%. The PSNE is due May 26th. Still working on the right of way and needs a little bit, some environmental permitting, but well on its way. Fitchburg, Water Street over Boulder Drive, Pan Am Railroad and Water Street over the North Natural River, 608189. That is at PSNE. The right-of-way plans have been accepted and environmental permits have been issued. Athol, Crescent Street and Chestnut Hill Avenue, 608723. That is at PSNE. The ad date is July 20th. Athol, Phillipston, Templeton, Bridge Preservation of 8 bridges crossing Route 2, 613167. That was advertised. The NTP was issued to at Salas Brothers May 7th. The Fitchburg Ashby project, if you're looking at the tip on Route 31, that was amended off the 24 tip. Leominster's done. Fitchburg, Leominster, Twin City Rail Trail, 609411, that is at PSNE. The ad date is 8/17. The Chapter 91 license has been filed, the CE approved, and order conditions will be issued soon. And that's it for 2024.
All right, anyone have any questions for Ann for either Districts 2 or 3? All right, thank you, Ann. We'll move on to the next date, I believe is Mart. So go ahead, George.
Yeah, I just have one item, just the Fair Share pilot program we are working on. Mart implemented several new services to this bus route system in the Mart region. Beginning of this year, in Gardner, we added a new route, Route 3, which ran north-south in 30 minutes loop connecting the shopping centers and the residents. Also, we added more frequent service on the intercity route between Fitchburg, Leominster, and Gardner. And that was during the weekdays, and added Saturday to the intercity route. And also we added to Winchendon. But just last week, we had to stop Winchendon Saturday service because of the lack of ridership. Also, we added Sunday service to Gardner and Atoll Orange bus routes. And recently, we added Sunday service in Fitchburg and Leominster. And we added more frequent service to Worcester shuttle. And I like to remind you, MART is running a fare-free service on its fixed bus route system. Was up to June 30, and we just heard Mass DOT may, the state may extend this for another 2 months, maybe to the end of August. This is what I have. Thank you.
All right, any questions for George? All right, thanks, George. Our next update is from the JTC. Brian, is this you?
Yep, JTC met last week. Next meeting is June 12th at 2:30, remotely again. The TIP, UPWP, and TIP amendments have been recent subjects at the JTC. They've basically been reviewing the same stuff as the MPO and providing some feedback. So now that we're sort of beyond the stage where we're heavy into the federal required documents, in the winter and spring typically takes up a lot of the agenda. We're actively soliciting other items to put on the agenda that might be useful to the JTC. So I'll be sending out some communication to that group to get some feedback on that. Last week, we actually did have a presentation on our safety action plan. There's also a handout today. George Snow will review this handout and give a brief overview. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Yeah, the first public meeting for the Safety Action Plan will be coming up on May 30th at 6:30 p.m. It's going to be a live as well as a virtual meeting. So there's a couple of different ways here of attending the meeting. And we were expecting a good turnout. We've had a real good response with the surveys. Well over 200 surveys have been completed. And any of the tabling sessions that have been held have been well received. We went to market baskets and other kinds of various locations throughout the region, and it's been really good response. So the meetings again are going to be at the Fitchburg State University on May 30th at 6:30 p.m. and you're all welcome to attend, either virtually or live. Thank you.
Any questions for George? Seeing none, thanks, George. Brian, is there anything more into that update, or should we go to the Planning Commission update?
All set with the JTC, thank you.
All right. I don't know if it's Glenn. Glenn, are you doing the Planning Commission one, or is it Lauren?
Yes, sir. Very briefly, but if you want to chime in, that's great. I just wanted to tell the attendees that we lost two regional planners in the Planning and Development Department in April, about 3 weeks ago. We advertised internally and externally. We interviewed 2 people this past Monday. I believe we have a 3rd applicant coming in. Please spread the word. Everybody's looking for people, and so are we. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Glenn. Any questions for Glenn? All right, so if people here have good candidates, please send them Glenn's way. We'll move on to agenda item 10, which is administrative matters. Brian, it looks like our next meeting, we're proposing, we have to reschedule, correct, because of Juneteenth? And what did you take away, Brian?
Well, I was going to defer to the group. As Stephen mentioned, next scheduled meeting is a state holiday, Juneteenth. So typically in the case that it falls on a holiday, we just go to the next Wednesday. I know that DOT has some scheduling. I don't know if there's a conflict on the next Wednesday. I think the 27th was thrown out there, or the 28th. I can't remember exactly. The other option,
Brian, we were thinking.
What's that?
I think it's the 27th, Brian. Either the 20th or 27th. Okay. We were thinking. So.
Okay, so the if there is a preference from DOT, and I know because Office of Transportation Planning is the chair, or the secretary is the chair technically of this group. So we're trying to work together to figure out when we could have a chair available to come chair the meeting. The 26th would be the following Wednesday. The 27th would be the following Thursday. If there's a preference with this group, including DOT, which of those dates? I think MPO staff doesn't necessarily have a preference. We can do whatever works. The other option is, if there is no pressing items on the agenda, we could opt to take June off and revisit again in July. We haven't done that in a number of months. However, I will defer again to DOT on that because I know that there may be some tip amendments on the horizon as well. So,
So I guess from our perspective, why don't we schedule something, land on a date for June, and then as we get closer, we can figure it out. We did want to do the CIP presentation, but I know, Brian, we're all in the process of trying to reschedule the public, our public meetings, and we usually do them jointly with some of the MPOs together. So it'd be you guys in Circle Mass. If we ended up canceling in June, we could still reference that and people could watch that. Do folks have a preference between the 20th or 27th? All right, why don't we do this? So it looks like people are fine. So why don't we meet in June? Why don't you let Chris and I and Derek, we're trying to land the CIP meetings and all this other stuff. Why don't we, if it's okay, Brian, come back to you guys later this week with the actual date so you can get out. But can folks hold the 20th and 27th for the time being at 1 o'clock until we can land this? Does that make sense, everyone? Is everyone okay? Brian, does this work for you guys?
sure, and we'll be the we'll make sure we get the information out. We'll relay the information that we discussed with DOT to the MPO as well, and we'll figure something out. We'll try to set a date by next week or so, and then we can send out some more communication if there's nothing on the agenda, no pressing needs, and handle it that way. So tentatively, either the 20th or 27th is okay with us.
And like I said, we're planning on Brian to get back to you in the next day or so. I just had a meeting on the CIP schedule earlier today, so it should be in the next day or so, but probably before next week. All right.
Okay, great.
Can I get a motion second to adjourn, please?
So moved. Ann Sullivan.
Second, George Kahale.
All right, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 All right, thank you, everybody. Try to avoid the allergy season because it started hitting me already. Brian, good job on the tip stuff, and Sherry, great job on the UPWP, and we'll see you and be back in touch shortly about next month. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Call.